Welcome to the only live webcast that brings you the passion, the power, and the pulse of the mighty One New Zealand Warriors. This is Ruin Hammer Live. No stone left unturned as we dive deep into everything Warriors. Joining me as usual is my co-host and fellow Warriors tragic Warrior Roo. Rob, we're back. NRL season 2025, Ruin Hammer season 6. How are you, mate?
Mate, I'm doing really good. Season 6, that's unbelievable, eh? When I was typing that out this afternoon. The product of COVID that we are. Feels like a really short off-season, if I'm telling the truth. Like, it almost feels like a little bit too early to be talking about footy again. But here we are, because we're off to Vegas in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, mate, had a pretty good summer. It was, if I'm honest, it was actually good to take a bit of a break from footy and to disconnect from that for a little bit. Spending a lot of time with family, getting a bit of rest and relaxation in, because both my kids are at school now. My youngest, Cody, started prep this year, so we are coming to terms with the weekly schedule and all that sort of thing. So got our hands full. But yeah, it's great to be here in 2025. A lot of big things to happen this year for sure. What about you, mate? How was your summer?
Yeah, my summer was good, mate. Got up to Queensland just before Christmas. Got to catch up with Britt and Kai and baby Raya, my granddaughter that lives up in Queensland. Got to catch up with you and Cleo for a wonderful, succulent Chinese meal.
Democracy manifest.
Which was great at the Sundale Meriton at Southport there. Mate, yeah, we've had some big things happen. As you can see, my backdrop's a little bit different to previous years. I've actually moved house. I moved house last weekend. Worked hard to get the Ruin Hammer studio now all set up. So I've got the jerseys, a lounge, and what have you. I've got my own little space now to do Ruin Hammer. So yeah, Danny and I have moved in together into a nice house. Had the wedding of Danny's eldest daughter 2 weeks ago. But yeah, so it's been great. It's been a big off season, but as you said, it seems to have just gone past really, really quickly. And now here we are on the eve of NRL season 2025. We're going to discuss a whole lot of stuff tonight, all Warriors related, of course. Great to see some of the regulars in the chat there. Kyle Felton, Jacko's back in there. Christian's been waiting in the chat for about 15 minutes. Yeah, great to see the fanatics. Always good to see the usual people tuning in and listening to what two nufties have to say about Warriors footy.
Great to have all you guys along.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Let's kick off our discussion. We can talk about what do you want to start with? What part of Warriors chat would you like to speak about first?
Let's talk about the trial. Let's go straight into the trial, because I mean that's probably fresh in everyone's memory. So we might just run that back.
Yep.
Thoughts or opinions on said trial against the Sharks? 12-all draw, of course, there at Sharks Stadium. Did you notice they kept saying Sharks Stadium?
I know. If I'm going to be honest, I was probably a little bit disappointed, considering the troops. And I know it's the first hit out of the season and what have you, but considering the troops that we ran out, which was almost close to what you would expect round one team could look like. I just don't think we capitalised enough on stuff. I know trials are all about building combinations and working through things, and they did chat to Mitchie Barnett after the game, and he was saying how playing against each other at training, doing contact at training, it's good to get out and have a hit out against an opposition. I just found that, I wasn't overly impressed. I thought Metcalf did well for his first run at 7.
He was very solid, and good to see his kicking game sort of being highlighted a bit with that 40-20, because we're typically not a really big 40-20 kicking side, and there was a lot of concerns about his kicking game. So it's good to see that sort of getting a bit of a run, getting showcased in the trial.
Yeah. Dallin going off early probably not a good thing. He's
Not
suffered
good
a
at
wrist injury that's going to keep him out for up to 6 to 12 weeks, they're saying. So that's something we'll talk about a bit later on.
The back line that's already lacking pace.
Yeah, I think that's going to be our problem this season is we don't have a lot of pace in that back line. And the direction from our halves, I guess. But for me, I was super impressed with Sam Healy. I think in that one performance, and I know it was a trial against his old
club straight away. Yep.
I just think he's already leapfrogged Freddie Lussick as our backup hooker for 2025. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, good to see Fisher Harris get a bit of a hit out. Good to see Mitchy Barnett get a bit of a hit out. He's now the new Kevin Campion. Cuts and blood in the first 15 minutes of his Warriors season this year. So he's our hard man in the middle.
Oh, yeah, love you, Campo.
And another one I was really impressed with was Vaimunga. Dimitri Vaimunga, the old, formerly Dimitri Sifikula.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I think will be well in the mix in the 17 week in, week out for us. I thought he played really, really well. It was his offload that created the try for
Chance.
That's right. Yeah. What about you, mate? Who impressed you?
Yeah, look, I should preface this by saying while I had the game on, I was putting together a bunch of IKEA flat packs. We've just got a whole bunch of new wardrobes in our room. So, I was multitasking, probably with my my good mate Jay next door. He was probably doing most of the work, and I was there with an eye on the footy. But so I caught glimpses of it. Yeah, I thought Metcalf was very strong. I think Tane looked good again, but played on the wing for that second half, and which leads into another interesting conversation as to who will replace Dallin for the next 6 to 12 weeks. But we may get into that a little bit later. But terrible start. So it was a pretty soft try that they got straight away. But yeah, we fought our way back. We're probably, I know it's a trial and the result doesn't matter, but it was a pretty scrappy try that Cronulla got at the end to level things up. So I think the defense got a good workout. So it was good to see we got a lot of practice in goal line defense.
Yep.
So that got a good workout because that's something that absolutely has to improve on last year because last year we just couldn't handle back-to-back sets of 6 at all. We cave in. So it's a little bit difficult for me to comment on individual players considering I sort of had my eye off and on it. But yeah, there was like what I saw from Sifikula was fantastic. Yeah, offered a little bit of second phase, which is what we need back in our game and what we were known for back in the day. So yeah, whatever it is, it needs to be different from last year, and it needs to be better than last year. No question. Because where the points going to come from, and we only got 12 again in that trial. So it's a concern.
Absolutely, it is. I was looking at or talking about Tohu Harris, the retirement of Tohu Harris, which came out of left field and was a bit of a blow. Aaron Clark started at 13 in this trial, and he was a solid player at the Titans. He's improved a lot since his time at the Warriors. I still think for me, I would have Dylan Walker starting at 13. I just think
he's the other one that impressed.
Yeah, he offers a lot. He has a bit of a ball playing role now. So yeah, it's for me. I think Walker's going to take that number 13 jersey and start, which would probably mean that a guy like Aaron Clark comes off the bench. The other one I wanted to talk about was Zion Mayu, released during the week last week, went signed with the Bulldogs straight away. We spoke about Zion a bit last year. We were massive fans. His 13 minutes in his debut game against
Titans on Anzac Day.
That's it. Last year was impressive, super impressive. 13 minutes of footy. Didn't feature again all season.
Despite having injuries galore and picking like guys like Bunty, who are clearly not part of the future plans of the club and that sort of thing. Like it was really puzzling that he didn't get more minutes. Which, as we've discussed, it makes you think that there's something going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. I haven't watched a lot of New South Wales Cup, but I know some people, some of you guys down in Sydney, you go a fair bit. Richie Morgan and Matt Loader, who's just commented there about the Harold Matts and the SG Bullsides. They said when they watched New South Wales Cup, he didn't really stand out, which is a little bit unusual because you would think that if you're trying to press claims to get in the first grade, then you'd be tearing in. Don't know. As a wise man once said, it's hard to say without being privy to what goes on behind the scenes. But there has to be more to the story, and there usually is.
It's similar to the. I mean, we went through this last year with the whole Josh Curran thing, where I mean, we had a relationship with Josh and his family, and we were kind of a little bit surprised when he was released. But we did hear from certain people within the club that he had been spoken to about certain things he needed to work on in his game, and that's why he wasn't getting the minutes in first grade, and he's got himself an opportunity at the Bulldogs. And we kind of heard similar things about Zion, that he wasn't the best trainer, and that's probably what kept him out of the mix of first grade last year. But as you said, it's hard to say. Matty Loader there in the chat did say that he went out and watched the Harold Matts and the SG Ball sides on the weekend. I think that was our second hit out for both sides. I know the Mats are now 2-0. I'm not sure of the Ball. I think the Ball got beat on the weekend. But let's not forget the Mats won the premiership last year. So as Matty Loader said, solid depth within the Warriors. And we kind of always said, and that was Cam George's thing that he said to us last year, was once we get these pathways in place, it gives these guys a clear pathway towards first grade. We're not losing a lot of these guys that would end up playing for, Harold Matts or SG Ball for Sydney-based or Australian-based teams. They're keeping him at the Warriors now. And I think now we've got, 6 teams at the Warriors this year with Matts, Ball, Flegg, New South Wales Cup, first grade, and the Women NRLW coming back into it. So, solid for the Warriors. We mentioned it at the beginning, mate. Co-captains, not really surprising, is it? Very hard to split the two boys. Fish and Mitchie.
Yeah, I would have been happy with either of them individually as captain. Together is even better. You'd have to think that Fisher Harris is probably more on the Tohu Harris side of things of not wanting to do too much media. He leads more with his actions. Whereas when Barnett was captain, he seemed to be a bit more comfortable in front of the camera at the press conferences and all that kind of thing. So I think they'll bounce off each other perfectly as co-captains. Throw back to 2001, was it, when it was Stacey and Campo? That were our co-captains. So two awesome fellas. They both lead by example. And I think Barnett is kind of more in the Steve Price mould of the captain as well. Yes.
Yeah. That hardened Aussie type player. Speaks more with his actions than with his words. Same with Fisher Harris. And I think Fisher Harris is going to be great for the young Māori boys and Pacific Island boys coming through. And Barney's just, a really hard toiler. And the thing with Barney too is his career was really going nowhere when he was at the Knights, and he said that he was in a comfort zone, and signing with the Warriors got him out of his comfort zone. And since coming to the Warriors, he's now become a New South Wales Origin player. He's represented his country and now taken on the mantle of captain of his club. So
debunks the myth, doesn't it? Like
absolutely.
Your rep career ends when you go to the Warriors. Well, he's started when he came to the Warriors, and we've seen a number of other guys throughout the years, like Steve Price, who just continues to blossom at rep level after being at the Warriors. So, that's what they say. Sometimes a change is as good as a holiday, and it obviously really worked for him. Career best form for sure.
Absolutely. I suppose everyone was chomping at the bit to see Jet Cleary. Another Cleary run out in Warriors colours on the weekend. I think he got maybe 14 minutes at the end of the game. Really didn't have a lot of opportunity.
No.
For the time that he was out there, we were coming out of yardage sets, so he really didn't have much to do at the other end of the field. But yeah, just great to have that Cleary name back in the Warriors register of players. Not in our top 30 players at this stage.
Not as of yet. Yeah.
He's on a development contract.
Development contract for this year, I think, and then it gets upgraded for next year and the year after to what I'm not sure.
Which basically means he definitely won't feature in any games prior to round 10.
Yeah, so after round 10, should we require, he can come into the mix for first grade. So yeah, I guess it depends how we're going with injuries and personnel and form and everything. You never know. Yeah, as you said, how the Cleary name, Cleary DNA, very strong at the Warriors, and yeah, it was awesome to see Ivan and Beck and the family. Even the doc. Did you see the doc in the box as well?
I did. Yeah.
Warrior 73 and Warrior 59 there.
Yep.
We definitely know they have split loyalties.
Yes.
So yeah, it's great to see it. I know we keep saying it. I still reckon that old Uncle Ivan, he's not done. He's not done yet at the Warriors, and I reckon he'll be back in some capacity, particularly if Jet's career really takes off.
Yeah.
At the ones.
Yeah, I've got other theories. I think that Jet plays with the Warriors for 3 years, gets that blooding and that grounding under Webster, and then he ends up going back to Penrith and
anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Speaking of our halves, because we've had numerous conversations about our halves, and I know there's people in the chat that have their favourites within our Warriors players, our Warriors family, but I think that's the area that we're going to struggle this year.
Yeah.
Metcalf moving into the 7, hasn't played 7 since his junior days, which is a lot different to controlling and steering an NRL side around the park. Tamati Martin really didn't set the world on fire last year for us.
He was a little bit anonymous in the trial as well.
Yeah. And then you've got Chanel Harris-Tavita, who, again, I'm still not sold on him as a first choice half.
No. Jack of all trades, master of none kind of player, I think. He'd be better left in that 14 role for me.
Yeah. I'm hoping we're wrong. I'm hoping that these guys all fire, but I think that's our biggest problem this year moving forward is going to be our spine.
And who's going to step up in the absence of SJ? Someone has to grab the bull by the horns. Has to bring that kicking game, selective passing game.
Yep.
Yeah, who's it going to be? Who knows? Hard to say.
You touched on it before, mate. DWZ. Oh, Tanner Boyd. Forgot about Tanner Boyd. And
Tanner Boyd,
there's Kenny. Hey, Kenny, how are you, mate?
Hey, Ken.
Mate, I'll be up on the Goldie in 2 weeks to catch the first game of the season with Rob. So if you're around the Gold Coast, mate, let us know and come and watch the game with us. We're going to maybe do a live feed from the hotel room at the Meriton there. So, yeah, if you're around the Gold Coast on that Sunday, Kenny, love to see you, mate. Haven't seen you for a while. Miss you. DWZ picked up that injury early on in the game against the Sharks on the weekend. Since come out that it's a broken wrist and he's going to spend some time on the sideline, which is a massive blow because he does know how to find a try line, which would now mean that Rogers obviously locked in as one wing. Webby's said that. Kenny's going to Vegas. Wow.
There's plenty of tickets on offer at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of people selling tickets to the Vegas event. That'll be good, mate. Enjoy that. Make sure you...
it'll be an awesome experience.
Make sure you catch up with Richie Morgan. He'll be there in Vegas as well. yeah, mate, your thoughts on Dallin. Who do you think will take that other wing spot? Because as much as we love Ed Cossey as a person, we speak to Ed quite a bit, have a lot of time for Ed. His handling just lets him down in a first grade rugby league environment. And sometimes guys are just really good reserve grade footy players and not quite first graders. And I think Ed kind of fills that void. Fills that role. He can play first grade if we need him, but I would much prefer to see Tane Tuapiki on the wing if they're not going to pick him at fullback. I would have, and this is probably going to get shut down by a lot of people in the chat, but I would have Tane Tuapiki as our first choice fullback and move Chance into the centres.
So would I. Would I, for sure. I think that final round game last year, or our final round game against the Sharks, was the blueprint. We just looked like we had a lot more points in us. I personally think that Webby is going to go with Chance at fullback. I think he sees Chance as a safe, dependable option, which he is. But when you've got he's not overly quick. He's really good with his run meters, and he's strong. He's strong, and that's something that Ed brings as well. He's a big body, and he returns the ball well. That's his strength. But again, Ed isn't the quickest winger going around, and we really got found out last year for lack of pace on our edges, especially if you've got him and Pompey paired on one side.
Yeah,
I think that's a bit of an area of weakness for us. Yeah, it's a tough one because Dallin out, it would be my first choice wingers would be Dallin and Rog, centres, Leotoa and Chance, and have Tane back at fullback. Tane looked pretty good playing wing for that portion of the trial where he filled in. He looked right on. He scored a try. We know he's quick, he's elusive, he's creative, he can kick goals. He's not a big body though. That's the only worry. He's not a tall man either. So whether or not he gets caught out with the high ball and gets ragdolled a little bit running the ball back, I don't know, because the wingers basically these days are extra battering rams used for yardage carries and that kind of thing. That's something that Ed does bring to the table, and for that reason, I think that Webby will go with Ed for Vegas, because last year, whenever there was an injury, he turned straight to him. He likes to bring in direct replacements. I think that was something that he was quite big on when he came in 23, was having guys playing well in every position in reserve grade. So if Chance gets injured, Tane comes straight in at fullback because he's a fullback. That's his preferred position. But I think we've got to do something different to what we did last year. I just felt last year Webby was way too conservative with his team lists, and I think he just was constantly thinking that it's sooner or later it's going to click.
Yep.
And then when it never did, it was kind of too late. But we started getting it right towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I was going to say, it clicked at Cronulla, didn't it? Sean's last game. Everything kind of fell into place for Sean. Which had us all going, if only it had happened a lot sooner in the season for us. But I think, I agree with you. I think Brian Cleland says, gentlemen, I'm still a fan of RTS at fullback. I was just about to say, so am I. I think Rogers,
that would be my second choice. Yeah,
I think Rogers wasted on the wing personally.
Where else does he fit in though? Like, the center's
really not his position.
Didn't really work last year.
We get the best out of RTS when he's at fullback. I'm sorry, but we do, and we saw that last year when he moved to fullback. And it's unfortunate that we have an abundance of riches in fullbacks in Roger, Chance, and Tane, but you can't. Three don't go into one. So, and I've always been a believer that you pick the best 17 best 13 on the field and you find a position for him. So I hope that's what Webby does in this respect. And if that means Tane and Roger on the wings, I'd much rather have both Tane and Roger on the field than not on the field. But I guess we find out in a couple of weeks.
Sorry, I'm just showing Nick my hat.
I can see that.
That's what I'm wearing. Sorry, it's not a Warriors one. Miami Vice. We are gonna be talking a little bit about the NBA later on. So
We
stay tuned for
are.
that. But yeah,
We
but
are.
as we were saying, yeah. I think if Roger's not fullback, then it has to be wing or probably not in the team.
Nah, I agree.
Where else does he fit in? He can do a fullback kind of job on the wing. I mean, he's great with his kick returns. That's like one of the best aspects of his game. Yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one because I really do. I'd love to be wrong, but I really do feel that Webby's going to play it safe for the first few rounds.
Who plays centers in round one? Because Latu is a shoe in.
Yeah,
Pompey's under an injury cloud. Rocco Berry's under an injury cloud.
indefinitely. Apparently, Rocco Berry's injury is apparently worse than first thought. Like it's been just put on indefinite status, from what I can see.
Really?
So, yeah, it's a shoulder, isn't it? Shoulder injury.
I don't know what it is.
He's been out since.
He's been out for a while.
Midway through last year. It's been ages. Yeah.
Our top 30 squad. We've got 2 spots available now with the retirement of Tohu. There's a lot of talk about us signing an outside back, and everyone was saying it was Mortalo, and we kind of knew it was never going to be Mortalo.
Never going to happen.
No, because everyone keeps saying, "Oh, he's a Kiwi and he wanted to go home." His home's Queensland.
He wanted to play for Queensland.
Yeah. He represents the Kiwis by default.
Yeah, because he represents the Kiwis as his second choice because he has to. No, he moved over. I've listened to his story a few times. He's from South Auckland, and his family moved over when he was obviously after 13 years of age.
Yes.
It was like 14 or something like that, over to Ipswich because I think they had family over here, and they pretty much settled in Ipswich. He went to Ipswich Grammar, and he sort of came through the Queensland ranks, and that's why he tried to play for Queensland. But yeah, ended up being a Kiwi. But there was a podcast that came out last year. He goes, "Oh, I just reminded me how much I missed home," and he kept talking about home, and I'm like, if you listen to it, he's not talking about New Zealand.
No, that's right.
Whenever you hear him talk about where he grew up in South Auckland, it's not sort of favourable kind of reminiscing that goes on there. But he's saying, "Yeah, I miss my mum and my family because they're still in the switch." So yeah, if he goes anywhere, it'd be more likely to be the Broncos or Dolphins or something.
Or Dolphins,
yeah.
Going to be interesting to see who fills those 2 spots. I think we're in need of a middle forward. Definitely need another middle forward.
We've lost 2.
Considering we lost Zion and releasing Zion, does that now put us back to 27? Is there now 3 spots in our top 30? Because there was one.
I could be wrong, but I thought it might have been 28 after. I thought we only had 1 spot left, and that's now down to 28 because Zion's been released. I could be wrong. If anyone else knows,
let us know, because I thought it was 29, and then Tohu, they were leaving 1 spot open for someone during the season. And then we lose Tohu and now Zion. So I think we're down to 3 spots.
Well, I mean, geez, we need outside backs as well. Not only, we released Montoya, we released Sedu too. He got promoted to the top 30 last season, but never played. He got released. Now that Dallin's gone down, with really, in terms of like specialist wingers with first grade experience, it's only Ed really that's played specialist winger. How about someone like a Moala Graham Taufa, who's been around New South Wales Cup for a couple of years? I think he came back on a train and trial deal, and
he got some minutes. He got some minutes in the game against the Sharks.
So does someone like him come into it? Like, I mean, he played a few first grade games last year. He looked quite good in his debut, but I think the other 2 games he struggled a little bit. Like someone like him might need to come into the thinking, or a guy called, is it Pasicalo?
Yeah,
a winger from was it New South Wales Cup last year? Came up from the juniors. Big raps on him. So
why don't we just go to Japan and bring Joey Manu back? Why don't we do that?
Mate, I think I don't think we can compete with brown paper bags.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Gotcha.
The Godfather always gets his man.
He does. And just before we move on to a bit of chat about something that you are very passionate about with the NBA,
Yeah.
2025 merchandise, mate. The Warriors released a whole heap of merch. I'm wearing one of the shirts. I've also got the
warm-up tee.
Yeah, I've got the warm-up tee. I've got the Pacifica shorts on tonight. This is rare for me because I rarely buy any Warriors gear in the off-season. I wait until...
you're very big on wait. It has to be the time and the place. It can't. Yeah.
But I got in early this time around.
Don't get him anything for Christmas. Don't get him any Warriors stuff for Christmas.
No. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Because you're big on the merch. What are your thoughts on the merch?
It's solid. I'll say it's solid. Not quite as good as last year. I mean, last year sort of knocked everyone's socks off. With Dynasty came in strong with particularly with that heritage jersey. Doesn't look like there's going to be a heritage jersey this year because I believe that teams are allowed a maximum of 4 jerseys. So we've got home, away. We've got that Pacifica jersey. It might be 5. Might be 5. Home, away, that Pacifica jersey. There was a leaked, if anyone saw, anyone go and follow Retro Rugby League if you want to see the picture of it, is the Indigenous jersey that we reckon was Indigenous jersey that got leaked. It's predominantly white.
Yep.
And it's got a red and black kind of pattern on it. There wasn't a real high res photo. Someone accidentally leaked it in their stories on social media. Got swiftly removed, but not before it got captured.
But just talk us through it though, mate. There is rules around the jerseys that we can wear. So there's is it a 2-year?
Yeah. So we got a 2-year cycle for home and away jerseys. So it has to be the same in consecutive years. So obviously that's why we've got pretty much the exact same home and away. There's slight little tweaks.
Yep.
To the collar. They're allowed to do that kind of thing. Apparently heritage jerseys have a 3-year cycle. So no longer can a team release a different heritage jersey every year. So within a 3-year bracket, you can have a heritage jersey. We did one last year, obviously. So that's probably going to suggest we can't do one for the next 2 years. But there are ways around it. This is what old Retro was telling me, that you can release it as an anniversary jersey. You can release it as a charity jersey. There's all these different little loopholes where you can release another design. You just don't call it a heritage jersey.
Gotcha.
So every year teams can have, I think it's 5 different jerseys. So we got home, away. We've got that Pacifica jersey that got released, which I personally not a huge fan of. Looks a bit like someone put down a white jersey and let a rainbow paddle pop melt all over it. But each to their own. If people like it, by all means, go out and get it. And there's the leaked Indigenous jersey. So every team has to have an Indigenous jersey every year. And I believe because we're playing on Anzac Day, we'll probably have an Anzac Day jersey as well. So I'm guessing that's going to be our 5.
Okay.
Training gear is not bad. I don't mind the ocean theme that we're going with. Obviously, with your PowerShell shirt there.
Yep.
The training gear's got a bit of the PowerShell trim on the sleeves, and there's I think it's the black sands of Bethel Beach.
That's it.
Is the theme it's running through. Obviously, that's a very special place in Warriors folklore and history, and it's good to see them sort of honouring that. And I quite like how that's prevalent throughout the training gear. I don't mind it. It's subtle, but it carries like a pretty strong theme and message with it as well, which I quite like. It's done intentionally.
I like the black polo. As everyone that knows me knows, everyone that knows me knows that I'm big on black. So I do like the black polo. I've done that a little bit. I'm not usually big on color, so this is for me to be wearing something that's not black is a little bit different.
I see. The funny thing is, I love color. That's why I love the heritage jersey from last year. Just the colors just stand out. But having said that, I don't really like what they did with the Pacifica jersey.
Me neither.
It's just. I kind of know when you hear the description and the reasoning for it, you kind of understand what they were going for. But it
looks like a melted paddle pop.
The execution just wasn't there for me.
Yeah. It looks like a melted paddle pop, and if Brad Inger buys it, he can put it up next to his
picnic blanket.
His picnic blanket, and it could be a melted paddle pop all over a picnic blanket.
I got to say, for me, it's up there with the picnic blanket in terms of where jerseys rank, or should I say, down there with the picnic blanket.
Yeah, I still reckon that horrid, very busy Anzac jersey with a stained glass.
Stained glass, yeah. And I didn't like. There was ones we did that had looked like it had graffiti like all over it and everything like that. Yeah, not too big on those.
That
ones.
series of ones where they brought out, it looked like we'd been shot with a paintball.
No, I didn't really rate those. Yeah, they used to do like themes every year, so that was like 2012, and then 2013 or 14, I think it was one that had that electricity sort of theme all through it, which was that we did a green one, a blue one, a few different colours.
Here's one for you, mate. What do you like better, the paddle pop jersey or the blanket?
Oh, here we go. Thanks for the question, Nick. I'm assuming this is the Kirch. Which do I like better? Oh, I have to approach this from a different angle. Oh, geez. You know what? I'm gonna have to say I'll probably, if I had to buy one of them, I'd probably get the picnic blanket, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's at least it's got that Wellington sort of theme.
Do you remember they released a red one though in the same style?
Yeah,
that was player only.
It was like a Christchurch version of it, wasn't it? Like it was. I mean, I wouldn't buy it. I don't know. Hey, look. If we go out there and wear that Pacifica jersey and have one of the greatest wins in club history, mate, that might change everything. Because I've been won over. I've been won over. Like, I'll give you an example. I never really liked last year's away jersey until I went to a bunch of games where we weren't, obviously, because I'm an away fan. And then the Sean Johnson game, like it's going to go down in history now as one of the Warriors jerseys that everyone will remember.
Yeah,
the jersey he wore in that final game. So, like that won me over, and I got one this year. I liked what they did with the collar. The collars are a little bit nicer this year. Jerseys are very thin though. Geez, the jerseys are basically like the training shirts in terms of thickness and everything. I know they're made by recycled bottles or something like that Dynasty do. So, very, very thin. And a little bit unforgiving on the middle, so I've got to have to white jerseys, you know.
You got to stop buying the player fit, mate. That's what you got to
do.
Oh yeah. NBA trades, mate. You wanted to chat a little bit about the NBA. Before we do, I saw the Warriors released a Vegas shirt as well. That's in the style of an NFL jersey, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There was one that came out that was made by like the generic company that does all the generic, I think, gear, and they did one. I was like, it was okay. I'm not a huge NFL fan. I know you and Brad and Dad are more into it. So I don't typically wear those jerseys. I'm more of a NBA style guy, but it looked all right, and I like that they're going with the theme. They probably weren't going to do a jersey just for Vegas. So it's good that they've done something to sort of commemorate that. It's one of those ones though. It's like, do we want to remember Vegas? Who knows? We don't know yet. It could be one of those games where we're like, that's why I've held back on buying all the hats and stuff. I was just like, we don't want Vegas to be we don't want any fear and loathing in Las Vegas, do we?
If we win that round one game in Vegas, Ricky Stewart's going to be claiming there was a conspiracy theory against the Raiders, don't you?
Which would be unusual because he normally doesn't whinge about much.
No, he doesn't whinge about it. No, he doesn't. No, doesn't whinge about anything. NBA, mate. I can tell you now that my Sportsbet account is looking rather slim at the moment because of the NBA, and it's not because I'm betting on Jimmy Butler. I gave up on Jimmy Butler many years ago.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's classic. Your Jimmy Butler connection. Yeah,
yeah,
funny you should mention him because we're going to talk about it a bit, mate. Yeah, it's no secret I'm a massive NBA fan. It's probably and my beloved Miami Heat. I've been a fan of theirs for over 30 years. It's been some ups and downs, much like the Warriors, really. But yeah, a few championships back in the day: 06, 12, and 13. Yeah, tough times at the moment. But firstly, like massive. Anyone who follows NBA and wasn't aware of the Luka Doncic trade for my mind's gone blank. Anthony
Anthony
Davis.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony
Yes.
Davis. Yeah. I just had the monobrow in my head, and I was just like, my mind just went blank. Yeah, Doncic trade for Davis. That's massive, massive news. Came absolutely out of nowhere. It's like trading. Davis is a really good player, and he won a championship with the Lakers
Yep.
against my beloved Heat, and he's a very he's a very hard man to handle. Powerful, big, tall, good shooter, but he's injury prone. And Luka Doncic, one of the most dominant players in the NBA for the Dallas Mavericks, had just taken them all the way to the finals unexpectedly. They got run down by the Celtics, but yeah, they were basically a one-man show. And that trade just came absolutely out of nowhere. I thought it was a G up when my, social media lit up. I was getting messages left, right, and center. I was just trying to think of it like an NRL kind of equivalent trade that we could think of, it would be almost like
Jerome Luai going to the Tigers. No, sorry.
trading Jerome Luai for, I don't know, who's a really good player but really injury prone. Trading Jerome Luai.
Adam Dewey.
No. No, it might be like trading like Jerome Luai for Latrell Mitchell or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Yeah, it got me thinking. Like, do you think like a trade window in the NRL would work?
Like, they tried. Didn't they try? They tried a trade window way back in I think it was the early 90s, and or draft. It was a draft that they tried, and Terry Hill took him to court because he got drafted. I don't know which team it was because he played for about 8 teams at one stage. But he got drafted,
Roosters, wasn't it?
He got drafted, took him to court, didn't want to go, and that's when the draft kind of fell away. A trade window would be good in the NRL, but where would you do it? Would you do it around that June 30 or whatever it is now? It's July 30 deadline.
Because that seems to be very similar to the February 6th trade deadline in the NBA. So that's like our June 30. So you get all the players that are disgruntled and, need a change of scenery, or players that start working out for different franchises. You move them on, because that brings me straight onto like the Jimmy Butler scenario. So obviously, being a massive Miami Heat fan, Jimmy Butler has been our best player for the past 5 or 6 years since he's been at the team. Taken us to the finals twice when we had no business being there, to be honest. And he just caught fire a couple of times in the finals, and just, he's a wholehearted player, and he's a really passionate player. But at the same time, and the other side of the coin is, he is a bit of a difficult personality, and he's like a massive troll as well. And like, he gets into trouble, and he annoys the wrong people in the game.
And he doesn't like me, because whenever I put him on to score 20 points, he'd score 18 or 19. He must
have been following your sports bet account. Every time you needed him to score 20 points, he'd get like 19 or something.
Yeah, and it'd be the one red cross on a 20-leg multi. Yeah, thanks, Jimmy.
Don't get me wrong, fantastic player, and he's going to go down in history as in my opinion, one of the top 5 Miami Heat players of all time, just for what he did to the team. And he didn't have a lot of help. He was a little bit of I wouldn't say a lone hand, because he had like a decent supporting cast, but he kept saying needed to add another superstar to really bring the best out of the team. And we were sort of stuck in that mid-table, like we're almost like a mid-table team, where we would scrape into the play-in, and we get through the play-in and then make the finals. But then you'd come up against like a red-hot Boston team or a red-hot Milwaukee Bucks, and they would just wipe the floor with us. So we were stuck in that area of sort of mediocrity. But but yeah, like what I was thinking was interesting parallel between him and the NRL is like he wanted more money, so he was coming up to the end of his deal. He wanted a max contract, and he went to Pat Riley, who's the president of the Miami Heat, and he sort of said like, no, you're not really worth it. And he's a shrewd businessman. He's very blunt. He did the same thing to Dwayne Wade back in the day when Dwayne Wade left. He ended up coming back, but he did the same thing to him. And Butler took that personally as a bit of a bruise to his ego. But he's 35, turning 36 this year, and he said, "You're sort of you're a great player, but you're aging, and we don't feel that you're worthy of that much money." And of course, ever since that happened, he'd been disgruntled. He was causing issues on and off the court. There's all this footage of him just like almost like mucking around in games, like taking threes on 1 foot and just being a general distraction. And the rest of the guys there, like Bam and Tyler Hero and these guys, we're still trying to win games. And then you got this Jimmy Butler saga hanging around in the background. And he eventually requested a trade. We tried to trade him to numerous different teams, but I think because of the nature of his personality, teams are sort of thinking twice about taking him on. He's left every other team that he's played for. He's left badly. Chicago, Minnesota was terrible. He basically just came in and abused all the players and demanded a trade. Left Philadelphia under not so great circumstances as well. And then it's the exact same thing has happened in Miami. Eventually, I mean, we got some good years out of him. And so we traded him to Golden State Warriors for Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, a couple of other guys. So we seem to have put that behind us.
He's like the Matt Lodge of the NBA.
Lodge, I was just about to say the parallels were incredible between him and Matt Lodge. Like you got all these issues in the background. The rest of the guys are just trying to go out there and play footy or play basketball or whatever it is. And you got this one player there that's just causing trouble. For a different reason, it also reminded me of when Sean Johnson left the Warriors. Not that Sean Johnson caused trouble or anything like that, but when that went down, like it seemed to like divide everyone. It divided the fan base. Players like, oh, I'm on Sean Johnson's side, I'm on the club side. And there was always different versions of events that was coming out. It's exactly the same thing with Jimmy Butler. They're saying he's claiming that he was wrongfully suspended because part of the reason he got suspended was he wasn't joining in team shoot-arounds. He was traveling separately to games. He just wasn't being a team player. And so they suspended him numerous times before he finally got traded. But he's saying, oh, there's a different version of events. This is why that happened. And, you know, like it's the fan base is completely divided, saying, yeah, well, I'm glad to see the back of Jimmy Butler so we can get on playing basketball. Others like, he was one of our best players. Why did we get rid of him? Why did we let him go, you know?
Why did we let him go?
Let him go?
Where is Lodge this year? Didn't he just sign for reserve grade somewhere?
I saw that he had declined Manly's offer. I think Manly had a modest offer on the table. He thought St. George was going to sign him.
And he thought South were going to sign him. And then Wayne Bennett ended that with one quick phone call, said it's not happening and hung up on him. Yeah. And I think now he's signed on for, like, might be Blacktown Workers or something like that.
Yeah, the last I heard was he had thought that there was a 2-year deal on the table at St. George. And so that's why he didn't re-sign with Manly, because I think they were only offering him a 1-year extension.
Yep.
Then they changed the terms of the deal, the Dragons, to being a train and trial contract.
Yeah.
Which he didn't like. So he's like, no thanks. It went back, and I don't think he could get a gig anywhere else.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butlered himself. So
yes.
That's what happened. But that's what happens when you get a reputation for being difficult to deal with.
100%.
Again, he's left. Lodge has left almost every team he's been on bad terms.
Bad terms. Yeah. And we know the story around behind the scenes. Like there's a story within the story of how he came to leave the Warriors, and that's
people will be shocked if they ever heard the true story. But I mean, we obviously can't repeat it, and it's. Yeah, when you hear it, you really wouldn't believe it.
No.
But, there's the version of events that went around, and but that completely derailed our season back in 2022 as well.
Yeah, it did. It did indeed, mate. So we're back for season 2025. This is season 6 of Ruin Hammer. What have we got coming up next week? we're going to do a show that everyone looks forward to with our good mates from across the ditch, Brad and Richie. We're going to do 25 predictions for 2025. The four of us will each come up with 25 predictions. Some believable, some a little bit tongue-in-cheek. And then, obviously, at the end of the year, we get together and review. I think was it Brad had seven of his.
Yeah, I was thinking 7 was the magic number.
7 was the magic number. I know I got 10 the year before. I've gone all out on a limb this time around, mate. I've got some doozies in there. And what I've done is I've actually only come up with 23 predictions for 2025.
Leaving 2 spots open.
I gave 2 spots to my future son-in-law, Brandon, he's out there in the lounge room watching the live show with his partner, Jess, Danny's daughter. Yeah. So they're here. They've helped us move during the week, and he's staying here. And because of all his hard work, he's a massive Tigers fan. He's a tragic Tigers fan.
Oh, poor bloke.
He has seen the
Mike Doreen Cup. Brandon, you'll never get your hands on it.
He has seen the Mike Doreen Cup, but he can't touch it. So I gave him my last 2 spots on the prediction. So we'll see how good he is. Unfortunately, they're both Tigers related. Yeah. So.
And if one of them will finally win the Mike Doreen Cup, I'm guessing.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. But so we got that coming up. Like I said, we got Vegas in 2 weekends. Not this weekend, not the weekend after, the weekend after. 2nd of March.
We'll be on the Gold Coast for that.
We will be on the Gold Coast for that. Where I'm staying at the Meriton, Rob's staying close by. We're hoping that we can try and work out how to do a live stream from the Meriton for that. And then
the technical wizards that we are, will work something out.
Absolutely. Just so that everyone knows, I don't actually know if anyone can see me on screen tonight because I can't see myself on the screen. So all I got is a black screen. So some things never change. And one of those things is that we're not very technically advanced. But we just push on, mate. We just push on.
Yeah, we do. We work with what we got. We work within our limitations. Yep.
Absolutely. That about wraps it up for tonight's show. Have you got anything else you want to discuss before we go, mate?
Yeah, no, I just want to say how good it is to be back talking footy. Thanks to all you guys that did join the chat through Facebook and YouTube. We'll be back through both formats all year. And yeah, if you guys are interested in picking up some merchandise, you want to get yourself a Sean Johnson tribute shirt or an RTS shirt like the one behind me, or any other merchandise that Ruin Hammer related merchandise, make sure you go to our Redbubble store. The link is in our bio. It's also on the screen there, so jump on there. They've always got specials on Redbubble. Everything's pretty reasonably priced on there. Few new designs. I've done a Tane Tuapiki shirt as well. So go in there and check out our store. Make sure you go through our store so that we do. So you make sure that your money does go back into supporting the show. It helps us in so many ways. It really does to upgrade our presentation through Restream like we're doing tonight, and through all the other costs that we have related to the show through our licenses for all different software and everything. And another way that you can support us is you can consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You can jump onto Patreon, and for as little as $3 a month, you can support us there. We do stuff that is exclusive for our Patreon supporters. If you do like merchandise, we have a $10 a month package as well that allows you to pick up a couple of shirts there throughout the year. So jump on there and have a look. We greatly appreciate all our Ruin Hammer Patreon supporters. Again, all the money that comes in does go straight back into the show, and we greatly appreciate that. Absolutely, so thank you very much. Yeah.
Absolutely, we do. Well, that's about wraps it up for tonight's show, mate. Always good seeing you.
Likewise.
Seems like it's been so long, but not that long, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very short off season. We look forward to jumping on with the boys from across the ditch next week. That's always a fun show.
Sort out a time for that. Yeah,
yep,
we'll let you guys
always a fun show. But thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Thank you everyone who support us. We really do appreciate it, and we look forward to bringing you some really great content for our 6th season of Ruin Hammer.
Absolutely. I will take care, everyone. Enjoy watching the trial. All you guys are getting ready for Vegas. We're jealous, but yeah, go well. And yeah, 2025, it's here. How good.
Yeah, absolutely.